Welcome to How I Fixed My Sleep. How a former night owl took flight and landed as an early bird.
Hello there, people of Interwebs land. I'm Alex. I'm a former night owl turned early bird. Now, how did I manage to pull this off? Get ready to take a journey with me as I tell my story. I have been a night owl most of my life. When I was in high school, I generally stayed up later and woke up early during the week, and the weekends would roll around and I would sleep in. When I graduated and moved on to the human workforce, I would work a normal Monday to Friday day job. The weekend would roll around and I would usually stay up really late, and then I would get to sleep in. I rarely kept a consistent sleep and wake cycle until I worked a later shift. Most of the day jobs that I have worked have been on the afternoon shift, so I became quite accustomed to staying up really late and getting to sleep in. I've pretty much been a night owl most of my life. More recently, because life happens, I've had to adjust to getting up early several days during the week as well as on the weekends. I used to not have a problem adjusting to becoming an early bird when needed, but this time around it was different. I didn't have issues sleeping in until a few years ago, when I developed tinnitus, thanks to a bad reaction to Vicodin and ibuprofen after I had knee surgery.
Tinnitus is a perceived ringing, buzzing, hissing, whistling, swishing, or clicking. In some rare cases, tinnitus patients report hearing music. The sound may be soft or loud, low-pitched or high-pitched, and appear to be coming from one ear or both. Many with tinnitus suffer from a chronic lack of sleep, persistent anxiety, depression, ability to concentrate, have problems experiencing relaxation or quiet time.
What the? The first few months after I had tinnitus, I had hardly slept at all. The ringing was really loud, and my head felt like it was inside a bell being rung. My head literally felt like it was vibrating. I could not sleep for 2 to 3 days at a time, even though I was completely exhausted. When I was lucky, I would sleep about 45 minutes every few days. The rest of the time, I would lie in bed and hear the fan while I was actively dreaming while awake. I did not realize you could drift off into dreamland while awake. I'm not talking about daydreaming either. I thought maybe I was asleep and that I'd still hear the fan going. It was frustrating. Lying in bed, trying to sleep, or staring at the ceiling, checking the clock, listening to the fan, wondering, when am I going to fall asleep? Alcohol would help me sleep eventually, but long term, that is not such a good idea. It took me a few months after adjusting to a healthy diet and lifestyle just to start chipping away at decent sleep. Mostly after that, I barely slept a full night of sleep for more than a few days in a row, no matter what hours I worked. Stack that onto having several autoimmune conditions that have crept up over the past few years, and sleep deprivation can be a vicious kryptonite to me. Being a nerd for knowledge and an information sponge, I already have been listening to health, nutrition, and wellness podcasts for a few years now. I decided when my health started to fall apart to dive deeper down that rabbit hole. The subject of sleep hacks show up quite often on some of these podcasts. Sean Stevenson has done a great job on his Model Health show, taking a deep dive into the subject of sleep.
Sean Stevenson is the author of Sleep Smarter and creator of the Model Health Show, one of the top health podcasts on iTunes. Another great resource for sleep is Ariana Huffington's book, The Sleep Revolution.
So I started implementing many of the tips and tricks that I had picked up. And it worked. It's amazing. I sleep very well most nights, and I rarely stay up late. I'm usually in bed by 9 and 11 p.m. on most nights, and up between 5 and 7 a.m. most days now, sometimes without an alarm, and even when I don't have to be anywhere early. I no longer lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, checking the clock, listening to the fan, wondering when am I going to fall back asleep. Even when I have to take a late night piss, I fall right back asleep. Impressive considering my itty-bitty bladder gets me up 2 to 4 times a night since, forever. My energy is the highest it has been in years, especially in the morning, where I used to be a drag ass. If I stay up too late and fall off my sleep cycle, I tend to rebound after a few days once I stick to the game plan, because in order for me to avoid my kryptonite, the sleep deprivation, I must have a game plan, because those who fail to plan to fail. Now, here is my game plan. I try to expose myself to sunlight earlier in the day, even though the sun is not always shining. Even with the cloud cover, I can still reap some of the benefits.
Getting outside can help your skin create the mood-boosting, health-supplementing vitamin D. A complete cloud cover only halves the energy of ultraviolet rays, which trigger vitamin D production. Every morning, if your body, face, and eyes are exposed to sunlight, your body will increase its production of serotonin.
Who is that?
Serotonin is a neurotransmitter which regulates mood, appetite, memory, sleep, and is primarily manufactured in the gut, and is why you should take care of your gut if you want stable moods and sleep patterns. So how does serotonin help us sleep? Well, serotonin is a precursor to melatonin. Melatonin helps control your sleep and wake cycles and is a very powerful antioxidant. Not only does our morning sunlight exposure boost the amount of raw material needed to make melatonin, but by exposing our bodies to morning sun, our serotonin cycles stay aligned with nature, peaking mid-afternoon and dropping off at night, synchronous to our body temperature and our cortisol patterns. Light doesn't only impact your sleep through serotonin, the hormone cortisol also plays a role. Cortisol and melatonin work in opposites, yin and yang, up and down, day and night. If we want to optimize our sleep, we need to ensure our cortisol melatonin rhythms are working properly. We want cortisol up in the morning and then dropping down in the evening so we can sleep. It's not a coincidence that our natural light cycles mimic our normal cortisol levels. Remember, cortisol is going to mess with your sleep, and for the guys out there, your testosterone levels.
We have a dog, and he needs to be walked a few times a day, so early day sunshine is usually covered, even in the cold.
Did you know that spending as little as 10 minutes outside when the temperatures are low can help you achieve cold thermogenesis and get your day off to the right start? More on cold thermogenesis in a bit.
I have a caffeine curfew, so I do not drink coffee or anything with caffeine past noon, because chances are I'll end up wired and tired later in the day, which makes it harder for me to fall asleep at a decent time. I stick to an anti-inflammatory diet that helps keep my autoimmune conditions and symptoms down, as well as my tinnitus, which is another form of inflammation.
An anti-inflammatory diet consists of foods that reduce inflammatory responses. This diet involves replacing sugary, refined foods with whole, nutrient-rich, and dense foods, such as meats, healthy fats, fruits, and vegetables. An anti-inflammatory diet also contains increased amounts of antioxidants, which are reactive molecules in food that reduce the number of free radicals. Free radicals are molecules in the body that may damage cells and increase the risk of certain diseases. The main foods that people follow an anti-inflammatory diet should avoid include processed meats, sugary drinks, trans fats found in fried foods, white bread, pasta, and gluten, soybean oil and vegetable oil, processed snack foods such as chips and crackers, desserts such as cookies, candy, and ice cream, excess alcohol, and too many carbohydrates. Some people find that foods in the nightshade family, such as tomatoes, eggplants, peppers, and potatoes, can trigger flares and some inflammatory diseases. There is some evidence that suggests a high carbohydrate diet, even when the carbs are healthy, may promote inflammation. Because of this, many people on an anti-inflammatory diet choose to reduce their carbohydrate intake. Now, on to autoimmune disease. There are more than 80 autoimmune diseases. Autoimmunity has increased threefold over the last 50 years, and it currently affects between 50 and 75 million Americans. It is the third leading chronic illness in the U.S., right behind heart disease and cancer. There are many different types of autoimmune diseases, and they can affect many different organs, such as your thyroid if you have Hashimoto's, or your joints if you have rheumatoid arthritis. At their core, they are similar in that they are an immune response that leads your body to attack itself. Autoimmune diseases are born when your body is working hard to defend itself against something potentially dangerous, such as an allergen, a toxin, an infection, or even a food, and it fails to differentiate between the intruder and parts of your own body. When your stressed immune system then turns antibodies against you, mistakenly attacking your own tissues instead of invaders, causing a potentially wide variety of symptoms. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, especially a combination of several of them, you may have an autoimmune disease. Joint pain, muscle pain or weakness or a tremor, weight loss, insomnia, heat intolerance or rapid heartbeat, recurrent rashes or hives, sun sensitivity, a butterfly-shaped rash across your nose and cheeks, difficulty concentrating or focusing, feeling tired or fatigue, weight gain or cold intolerance, hair loss or white patches on your skin or inside your mouth, abdominal pain, blood or mucus in your stool, diarrhea or mouth ulcers, dry eyes, mouth or skin, numbness or tingling in the hands or feet, multiple miscarriages or blood clots.
That sounds about right. I get in some exercise every day. Besides walking our dog, I stretch and I have a daily Qigong practice. I lift weights 3 days a week, and most of the days that I don't lift, I do resistance bands and kettlebells, which has really benefited me in reducing soreness from my weightlifting sessions. I finish my shower with roughly 100 seconds of cold water. Cold thermogenesis is not for the faint of heart. Some do ice baths, some do cold showers, and there are other ways and means. But a cold shower is a quick and not at first easy way to do cold thermogenesis. I started off slow, with 5 seconds of cold at the end of my shower, and I added 5 seconds a day after that. Some do 5 to 10 minutes of cold showers. Some do a hot to cold contrast shower, where they switch back and forth between hot and cold water. I have done up to 3 minutes, but I've experienced the benefits at roughly the minute-and-a-half mark. I frankly get numb to the cold now, and on the days where I feel run down, it perks me right up after. I prefer to exercise earlier in the day, but if I happen to have a later weightlifting session, taking a shower with finishing with a cold shower at the end, it cools my body's core temperature down, and I'm able to fall asleep soon after. So, what are the effects of cold thermogenesis? Take it away, old school announcer.
Cold thermogenesis works by boosting levels of brown fat to increase metabolism, which helps you lose weight. When your body is exposed to the cold, it can actually boost your production of health-promoting antioxidants. This is important because antioxidants protect you from free radicals and disease. An increase in antioxidants can better arm you to fight off disease and prevent the development of diseases like cancer. Interestingly enough, mounting evidence is suggesting that having a higher ratio of brown fat can actually improve sensitivity to insulin. Insulin sensitivity is important because insulin is the hormone responsible for transporting glucose from the blood to the cells, where it can be used for energy. When our body stops responding to insulin the way it should is when we run into all sorts of problems like diabetes. A higher ratio of brown fat can eliminate this problem altogether. When you're exposed to prolonged cold temperatures, your body starts to adapt by adjusting the production of several hormones that have a role in controlling our metabolism. Epinephrine and norepinephrine, for example, are two hormones that promote the production of heat when you're exposed to the cold. They're responsible for triggering mechanisms that increase your calorie expenditure, like shivering. Thyroxine, a thyroid hormone, is also increased following cold exposure. This hormone plays a role in increasing our resting metabolism, allowing the body to burn more calories without any extra effort. Here are some of the benefits of cold thermogenesis. Lowering body fat, increases hormone levels, improves sexual performance and fertility, lowers blood sugar, cuts food cravings, improves adrenal function, fixes some thyroid issues, enhances immune function, improves deep sleep quality, increases pain tolerance, and also reduces inflammation.
As far as sleep, nutrition, and supplementation goes, I have a good night knockout smoothie that I mix in golden milk, which includes a joint formula of collagen powder, glucosamine, and MSM. I toss in the adaptogens ashwagandha and reishi to calm down my nervous system, and I also use GABA, which is a neurotransmitter that helps to calm me down as well. I spike it with vitamin C to increase the bioavailability of nutrients. Roughly an hour or two before bed, I take ZMA, which is generally used for exercise recovery, but it also helps me fall back asleep fast if I get up to go to the bathroom, and it helps me stay asleep. On the nights when I need to get to sleep soon after I get home and I have to wake up early so I need a quick turnaround, I utilize magnesium natural calm in my knockout smoothie, and I'll take some 5-HTP. Mr. Announcer Man, tell them what that all means.
Golden milk has been used for centuries in Ayurvedic medicine. The drink usually consists of non-dairy milk such as coconut milk, almond milk, or other milk of choice, mixed with water, turmeric, ginger, cinnamon, and black pepper. Some mix it in coconut oil, cardamom, cayenne pepper, raw honey, vanilla, dark chocolate, as well as other anti-inflammatory ingredients. There is extensive evidence that turmeric can reduce inflammation and support brain and joint health. Drinkers of golden milk can reap the benefits of ginger, a natural anti-inflammatory that can help relieve symptoms of arthritis, bursitis, and other musculoskeletal ailments. Additionally, golden milk is flavored by black pepper, whose sharp taste comes from the alkaloid piperine, which enhances the absorption and anti-inflammatory effects of turmeric. Plus, black pepper contains a number of essential nutrients, including manganese, iron, and vitamin K, and is commonly used to calm digestive issues. Adaptogens are a unique class of healing plants that help to increase the body's ability to resist the damaging effects of stress, calm the nervous system, regulate hormonal balance, and help to restore normal physiological functioning. Some adaptogens include ashwagandha, cordyceps, holy basil, maca, rhodiola, ginseng, bacoba, astragalus, moringa, and reishi. Gamma-aminobutyric acid, or GABA, as it is widely known, is our body's inhibitory neurotransmitter. That's a fancy way of saying it's the brakes for our constantly on-the-go minds. Its role is to counter the excitatory compounds in our brain, helping us unwind, relax, and feel at ease. ZMA is a natural mineral supplement made of zinc, magnesium aspartate, and vitamin B6. Zinc supports your immune system and muscles. Magnesium plays a role in metabolism and muscles health and helps manage sleep. Vitamin B6 may boost energy. 5-HTP, also known as 5-hydroxytryptophan, is a naturally occurring substance derived from the seed pods of Griffonia simplificolia, a Western African medicinal plant. In humans, 5-HTP is the immediate nutrient precursor to the neurotransmitter serotonin. This means that 5-HTP converts directly into serotonin in the brain. Serotonin has many profoundly important functions, including a role in sleep, appetite, memory, learning, temperature regulation, mood, sexual behavior, cardiovascular function, muscular contraction, and endocrine regulation. 5-HTP can help restore serotonin levels and help improve general mood, depression, anxiety, insomnia, weight loss, PMS, chronic headaches, migraines, and fibromyalgia. How does magnesium natural calm ease stress? When we are under stress, our cells, which in the resting state contain magnesium, go through a change. Calcium, normally outside the cells, enters the cells to create an action state. Nerve cells become excited and muscles tense. When the stress has passed, magnesium then pushes the calcium back out of the cells and everything relaxes. However, when there's not enough magnesium, calcium remains in the cells, prolonging stress and creating magnesium deficiency symptoms. You experience this as feeling stressed. Cellular magnesium deficiency can also express itself as fatigue and low energy, inability to sleep, muscle tension, spasms and cramps, anxiousness and nervousness, headaches, constipation, and abnormal heart rhythms.
A little side note on magnesium, I wouldn't overdo it, or else you could end up with disaster pants.
Disaster pants is what happens when...
Mr. Announcer Man, just stick to the science, please.
Okay, on with the show then.
I generally try not to eat too close to bed. I prefer not to eat within 2 hours of bed, but sometimes I get home late and I'll end up eating within an hour of bed, because I prefer not to go to bed too hungry, because I may have a blood sugar crash during my sleep that will wake me up. I have a history of hypoglycemia, so I try to keep that in check.
Hypoglycemia, also known as low blood sugar.
That covers the nutritional side. Now how about the rest of my routine? After about 6 or 7 p.m., or if I get home later, I switch the lights in my living room and in my man cave to red lights. I try not to expose myself to either my computer screen or my phone screen within 2 to 3 hours of bed. The blue light from my computer and my phone aggravate my eyes and my ability to fall asleep. Even utilizing apps such as Flux, which dim the blue light, still don't help. Although I do watch a little bit of television at times before I go to bed, this tends not to affect my sleep. But I prefer to finish my night by the red light reading a book. I usually cap off my evening by meditating until I fall asleep. I keep our bedroom dark and cold. I turn down the thermostat before bed, so I usually don't wake up hot in the middle of the night. I have blackout curtains to reduce any light exposure from the street lights outside. We don't have a television in our bedroom. I also don't bring any wireless devices into the bedroom. Although my lady uses her cell phone for an alarm a few days a week, but she keeps it on airplane mode. So, Mr. Announcer Man, how does light at night affect sleep?
Melatonin suppression is key to understanding much of why light at night, also known as LAN, is so bad for us. This hormone is produced by the brain's pineal gland at night when it's dark to regulate a sleep-wake cycle. It lowers blood pressure, glucose levels, and body temperature. Key physiological responses responsible for restful sleep. The part of your brain that controls your biological clock is the suprachiasmatic nucleus, aka the SCN, a group of cells in the hypothalamus. These cells respond to light and dark signals. The optic nerves in our eyes sense light and transmits a signal to the SCN, telling the brain that it's time to wake up. It also kickstarts our other processes, like raising body temperature and producing hormones like cortisol. Our cortisol levels are relatively low at night, allowing us to sleep, and higher during the day, allowing for stabilization of energy levels and the modulation of immune function. But LAN unnaturally elevates cortisol levels at night, which disrupts sleep and introduces a host of problems relating to body fat levels, insulin resistance, and systemic inflammation. It also contributes to sleep debt and a disruption to the neuroregulation of appetite. But if our rooms are dark at night, there's no optic signal to the SCN, so our bodies pump out the much-needed melatonin. Moreover, our melatonin levels are regulated according to the amount of exposure we had to light during the previous day. Having light sources of any type in your bedroom can disrupt your sleep patterns. And even having an eye mask is not going to be 100% effective for most people. Did you know that your skin actually has receptors that can pick up light? If there's light in your bedroom, your body is picking it up and sending messages to your brain and organs that can interfere with your sleep. The best solution is black it out.
Now, why should you sleep in cooler temperatures at night? Take it away.
Thermoregulation strongly influences your body's sleep cycles. When it's time for your body to rest, there is an automatic drop in your core body temperature to help initiate sleep. If the temperature in your environment stays too high, then it can be a bit of a physiological challenge for your body to get into the ideal state for restful sleep. Studies have found that the ideal room temperature for sleep is around 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Anything above 75 or below 54 degrees Fahrenheit will likely cause some difficulty sleeping.
Your bedroom, it should be your sanctuary. Only two things should really be happening in your bedroom, and they both start with the same letter that sanctuary starts with. Drum roll, please. Sleep and sex. So keep it hot and steamy like a sauna for the sex, and dark and cold like a cave for the sleep. This is what has worked for me. I had to slowly replace my bad habits with good habits. The journey to health begins one step at a time. Having a morning ritual and an evening ritual are essential keys to maximizing sleep. A good morning starts with good sunlight, followed by a day of good healthy habits, especially as you roll into the evening and make your way into your cold and dark sleep sanctuary. I hope that these tips and tricks help you drift off to La La Land. Thank you for tuning in, and sweet dreams.
Ah, you pervert!